Welcome to the Wellness for Women show, where we talk about life, weight loss and everything in between. I'm Faye Caseman, founder of the AAA Way Life and Weight Loss Programme, and I'm here to help you put together the pieces of life and weight loss for one last time. This is an episode of the Wellness for Women show, filmed live in the free Facebook group. So, hello, and welcome to the Wellness for Women show, episode number 77. Rules Smules. Is the diet rulebook impacting your weight loss? So, as I'm filming it today, it's Halloween week, which reminds me, I haven't put on my horns. There we go. So we have a different visual theme and some scary things to cover. Food and diet rules. Ooh, dum dum dum. So, hands up. Who feels like they've been on more diets than they've had hot dinners? And if you have to guess how many would you say that you've been on? How many different ones have you tried? I probably dieted at least once a year. I think at least since my early 20s. I've done calorie counting, Slimming World, Weight Watchers, fasting, Atkins, SlimFast, Whole30, Slimming World was probably the main go-to one, as I was enticed by the claim that you could eat as much as you wanted as long as it was free food, which is a lie, but none of them worked long term. For each, I diligently sat down with the guidebook or the online guides and pored over the material, studying the rules and the systems so that I could finally find success in weight loss, to acquire the body that I longed for, so that I could finally be happy, confident, and probably would have said normal back then. What is normal anyway? Especially when somebody sat here wearing horns, for those who aren't seeing the video. I craved ease. I didn't really want to be doing the diet. I begrudged it. The fact that I couldn't, just be a normal person or eat like a normal person. Why did it have to be so hard and time consuming? What I didn't realise, because the diet sure as hell didn't tell me, was that how these diets were actually all affecting my well-being and my relationship with food. With each one I did, I'd have these rules to follow, and then I felt like I had to continue on with those and follow them for life in order to see long-term success. But that was actually damaging my relationship with food and myself to boot, because when you're dieting, I was obsessing over what I couldn't eat. It became a constant battle of willpower, and I felt like an absolute failure every time I slipped up or gave in to my cravings. So I then felt like I was a failure of a human being. And so as a recovering perfectionist, these failures hurt deep, and I didn't have the mindset or the guidance to deal with them. So I'd eventually quit, as it was all too hard. And so then when I found my mentor, it was a breath of fresh air. She said I didn't have to follow these rules anymore. I didn't have to calorie count. I didn't have to count points. I didn't have to count sins or eliminate food. Say what? How amazing is that, right? This was only part of the story. And through my journey and the extra learning that I've done and continue to do in and around our belief systems, it's not just those diets that have created the rules that we carry around with ourselves each day. It's our past experiences. And today I want to give you a gift. I want to help you to see that the diet rules that you've gathered and the diet rule book that you have built up over the years and the beliefs that you've built over the years could actually be feeding your brain a load of BS. And I want to give you the gift of freedom. So let's start unpacking the diet rule book. Have you heard of the diet rulebook? That's the first question that I should be asking. Tell me, have you ever heard of the concept of the diet rulebook? We can actually have rules and underlying rules books for all sorts of things in life, and it's worth unpicking them all. But today we're focusing on the diet rulebook. So from a young age, I've said this in many episodes, that we are bombarded with messages about how we should eat and what foods to avoid, what's supposedly good or bad for us. Likewise, we've been conditioned over the years by our surroundings about what our bodies should and shouldn't look like, how we should act and behave, whether this be from diet, society, parents, peers, the media. And when it comes to food and eating, you'll all have your own personal rule book, a set of guidelines that dictates your relationship with food, that ultimately shapes your perception of yourself, your food, and how you eat. And you've likely lived with some of them for so long that they're really ingrained in you. You might not even know that you have them, but ultimately you will. Some of them you will be consciously aware of. Leave them in the chat if you are, and other ones will be subconscious that you won't even know sometimes that you've got. And so from past diets, you might have a seemingly endless list of rules to follow in order to achieve your desired body, your image, your health goals, whatever it might be, whatever your whys are. Maybe you have rules and beliefs around the need to restrict certain food groups, that you need to, again, count calories meticulously or adhere to strict eating schedules or windows. From your childhood, you might have rules about finishing your plate and eating your food when it's given to you because it's polite, that you should supply food when guests arrive, that you should bring cake on your birthday to work or even have cake on your birthday. You might have rules around you or your kids eating your greens. And as a result of your own internal rule book, you might find yourself obsessing over these details sometimes, and they can become, and that could be at the expense of your mental, emotional, or in some cases, physical well-being. And ultimately, we don't want that, do we? And I should clarify that rules themselves, loving boundaries and guidelines are not necessarily bad. But anything that is perpetuating any harmful patterns, making you feel like crap, setting unrealistic expectations for yourself, that may be something to look at if you want to improve your relationship with food. And what you're looking for here is anything that creates an unrealistic or unhealthy mindset around food. So maybe it's something that's promoting restriction rather than nourishment, or anything that perhaps doesn't acknowledge the fact that your body and your metabolism may actually benefit in a different way. And this is where intuitive eating, or intuitive style eating, as I call it, really fits perfectly, because it helps you to break free from the grip of the diet rule book as you can work on your mind, body and soul. And there's no need for complex rules and systems. You just need to learn how to listen to your mind and body. You can learn to let go of guilt and shame, embracing all foods with moderation. You can challenge these old norms. You can strive for a more balanced and compassionate approach to your nutrition, your body and your mind. And if you do have any guilt and shame coming up, make sure that you go to episode number 50. And if you're in the membership, check out the resource there as well about overcoming guilt and shame. And maybe if you're taking part in my Halloween giveaway this week, maybe you might have one of these things as a treat. So, the unseen shoulds, musts and habits. As I said, this week is Halloween week, so it seems fitting that we talk about all things that go bump in the night. And I've been having great fun in the free community with this trick or treat game that I've got going on. So if you're catching this live, make sure that you go and have a look, because you could actually win some free coaching. If you're catching this on a replay in a couple of years' time, then I'm very sorry it's over, but check out the group anyway, because who knows, I might be running something else. But back to the things that bump in the night, bump in the day, bump in the morning, bump in the evening. So what are these things that are bumping around? It's our thoughts. It's our conscious and unconscious thoughts, always there and present, but not always fully seen, just like a ghost. So do you get the ghostly whispers of, I shouldn't eat that, or if I eat that, I will get fat? Do you get a ghoul rattling the chains when the clock strikes midnight and you're still awake, reminding you of your unfinished tasks? Or perhaps you've have a phantom hand that reaches out for snacks when you try to focus on something important. Certainly know that one of my hidden habits is procrastinating. And our thoughts, ultimately, there can be these mysterious spectres haunting our every move. They can lead us to have doubts and fears and insecurities, all lurking in the shadows. And these ghostly whispers have a way of creeping into our conscious when we least expect them. And ultimately, it's what knocks into how we think and feel about ourselves, as well as how we show up around food. And the question is, are you clear on all of these should, musts, have tos and habits? Have you gathered that awareness? Have you figured out the action steps you need to take and super sleuth your well-being? Have you got accountability and support in place to help you on the way? And this, of course, is where the membership can come in, but it's all about trying to find out all of these ghosts, past, present and future, really. So In the membership this week, I am releasing a list of typical diet shoulds, musts, rules and habits, and some tips on how to overcome them. So if you want in on that, you are more than welcome to check that out. Other than that, we'll carry on with looking at the next part, which is about embracing your inner angels and demons. So sticking again on the theme of Halloweeny, let's take a little nosy at what fears and concerns you might have coming up about doing some thought work, about looking at these rules and the inner work, and whether you have any fears coming up about facing what you may or may not think are inner demons, because it may not be that you feel ready to explore these things. You might find that there is resistance coming up. So are you like I was perhaps back in the day, whereas I think that there was absolutely nothing wrong with me? There wasn't anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with any of us, but I didn't think that I had things to work through. Whereas actually turns out that I did. There are plenty of curveballs that come up in life day to day, whether that be a little bit of stress, disagreement with partners or children's, disagreement with parents, people on the street, or just generally, things that are going on in the world. There's all sorts of things that need to come up. But maybe you're worried that there's skeletons in your closet, that if you open the door just a crack, you fear that you're going to get overwhelmed or that it's all going to be too much. Or maybe you're thinking that you've got it all figured out already, that you already know the angels and demons. So what then? But asking yourself these questions is important. Identifying any resistance is absolutely critical if you want to move forward in life or weight loss, if you want to find personal growth and freedom. So what I would say to you is that you don't have anything to fear with the right tools and support. So say in the membership, we work on our own unique paths, and we do so with love, but we don't pull out our inner demons. The whole point is not to pull them out kicking and screaming. It's about learning how to flex like a mother chucker, noticing our rules, noticing any resistance that might be being created by those rules, and then with love working through them at a speed that suits you. Because ultimately life is not a race. It's not a race to the end. We're here to live our lives and live it to our fullest. And so your healing journey shouldn't be a race to the end either. And it might be something that is ultimately ongoing and something that has to be worked through. It depends on what obviously you've got coming up. And this is why it's so important to build your own unique weight loss method and to rip up that rule book. The overarching message of today is to, like I say, rip it up, build it your own way. If you're working on weight loss or even your well-being, it doesn't have to be weight loss. Whatever it is, rip up the rules if they're not serving you, because you've got to do you, boo. See what I did there? I know. I love me some cheese. You've got to find out what works for you. Ditch all that diet BS that you've had fed to you over the years. Count this, don't eat that, they don't serve you in the long run. What it is about working on lowering the life fear factors that come up really with love and compassion. It's looking at why. The most important question really is why we eat more than anything else. And again, embracing those angels and demons that might actually be coming up there with love and compassion and with the right processes to help you work them through and ultimately get rid of any of these rules that don't serve you anymore. Okie dokes, that is near enough it for today. It was a short and sweet one. So keep working on breaking free of those old traditional weight loss methods and embrace your unique journey. Work on ditching the rules, ditching the diet drama that you've collected over the years. Look at your past, look at what's come up. You will have good memories, bad memories, all these experiences. They're what shaped your relationship with food and created these rules, and they're continuing to play out day by day. So keep continuing, get my teeth in, to figure out those angels and demons and find out what actually works for you. And of course, at the end of the day, if you need support, you know where I am. And it's like I say, it's always about, again, shifting out of fear and into love and compassion, and learning then to accept both the angel and the demon ultimately inside your inner world, and working on accepting on them as being part of you. Right, that is it. So I'll say, if you want to work on your diet rules, if you want to work on finding food freedom, And if you want to rip up the rule book, don't forget to join the membership. And if you are a member already, check out your portal by the end of the weekend. There will be the resource in there, which is the skeletons in your closet, because I'm sticking with the Halloween theme, whether you like it or not. And it's all about, I say, a list of diet rules and ways in which you can overcome them. So you can have a look to see whether any of those apply to you. And other than that, I am gonna love you and leave you all for the week. I'll be back next week. Like I say, make sure you look to check out the free group. There's lots of exciting things happening this week, and we will go from there. And I'll see you all next week. Bye for now. Thanks for listening. And don't forget, if you want to boost your life and weight loss the AAA way, check out the relevant links for today's show in the description. Speak soon.